Hi, I'm Lindsay Horn, and I'm here talking with Dr. Cindy Elmore about comparing male and female journalists. Dr. Elmore, what would you say is the main difference between male and female journalists?
Gosh, it's hard to put it into a nutshell. There is some research that states that women in journalism and in other professions come at their profession with, the norms and influences and agendas that are sometimes specific to women, but there isn't a whole lot of evidence that it affects the end product.
So, you think that female journalists have more influence coming in than male journalists? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe influence on things unique to gender issues in general.
And what type of things would you say that is?
More of the research centers on women coming about how they approach stories differently. Some of it is about, women being kinder to people they interview, being more empathetic than people they interview, letting people have more of a say than male journalists as a whole might. But it's not a stark difference.
So would you say that the female approach is often more or less successful? Or just different?
Just different. I don't think you could say it's more or less successful.
Do you think that male and female journalists have tendencies to go into the same types of areas, like of what they're recovering?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Male journalists still outnumber females. In newspapers, it's 2 to 1. It's still, females only make up about 33%, and they make up less than that at the upper management levels, and their turnover rates are much higher. In broadcasting, males still outnumber females, but it's much closer to parity. I don't know what it is in magazines, although I think it's probably more female dominated, because I think more females tend to do freelance writing than males. Tell me your question again.
Do male and females tend to go into the same areas?
Oh,
of
okay,
journalism?
no, you definitely find more female reporters in lifestyle and feature writing, more male reporters in politics, sports by far. I guess it's generally known that females end up, I don't know if it's by choice or if they're more steered that way, end up in the softer news categories than males do.
Would you say that since they are so outnumbered in newspapers, would you say it's a harder business for women, or it's a choice?
Well, like I said, the turnover of women in journalism is much higher than it is for men, and it has been for many, many years. Even those women who reach the top levels, they don't tend to stay as long. So while there is still a glass ceiling, some women have broken through the glass ceiling, and still many of them don't stay. Journalism right now, because of changing trends in journalism in general, is difficult for any gender right now. But it has historically been more difficult for women to combine family responsibilities, because research solidly shows women, when they're married, still bear more of the child rearing responsibilities and more of the home care responsibilities. It's just something that has not changed.
Would you say that if a male and female wrote the same story, it would turn out differently because of their gender? That maybe different aspects would be focused on?
Anecdotally, lots of women journalists will tell you that, yes. And I guess qualitative research shows some differences. Quantitative research doesn't so much. And I guess it just centers on, well, I did one study, for instance. I did one study on the coverage of the issue of abortion between male and female reporters, because I was told, if there's any subject where there might be some difference, this is where it might show up. And there were some. Men were more apt to use war metaphors, metaphors dealing with power. Women were much more likely to report the issue as a health issue, more so than a moral issue.
Interesting. So you would say in abortion issues, men used war references?
Yeah. War references, power references, issues related to morality showed up much more often in male reported stories. Males were much more likely to also use pro pro-life sources. Women were more likely to use pro-choice sources.
Interesting. Well, thank you for your time. Again, I'm speaking with Dr. Cindy Elmore about comparing male and female journalists.